Alright, so we are back with some more painting stuff here. It's been a couple of days, so I don't usually get to paint for long stretches of time when I am working, and I was working for the last couple of days. So, and then I was just lazy after that for a day or so. So but tonight we're going to go ahead and get started on doing the rest of these horses. We're going to get these horses pretty much looking like these ones, and we're going to see if we can get them all the way finished up. And then this thing is definitely going to be finished up because we're just going to put some hazard striping on some of these armor plates. Actually, I'm going to put it on, hold on, I'm going to put it on this armor plate here, and I'm going to put it on this armor plate here. So you're going to see how I do those things. So because it is going to be a longer process to do this part, we're going to start with the horses. So what I did on the first ones and what I'm going to do on these is I've got this Agros Dunes contrast, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that on the part of the horses that is horse flesh. So and again, as with every step that I said here, I think I've said none of this has to be perfect. I'm just kind of trying to stay. Oh. Hey Donnie, what's going on, brother? What's going on? Yeah, I'm just stroking my paintbrush here, painting some horsies. So I really need to like get this paint pointed slightly better to where you guys can see what I'm actually doing. So you can see there's the Argos Dunes on there, and like there's that little brand on the horse. I need to kind of take and put a little bit more pigment in there. You can kind of see. Yeah, well, thanks for stopping by, Donnie. I appreciate you coming in and saying hello. So we've been just trying to diversify the kind of content that we offer. Really, I'm trying to find a good way to point this so you can see what I'm actually doing with this horse as I'm painting it. Yeah, we're just trying to offer some different kind of stuff because, you know, I mean, I've had a million people ask me how I paint my guys, so I figured it would just be good to kind of show people what I do. So, but again, thanks for stopping in and saying, hey man, no matter how much of this you end up watching. So you can kind of see there we got, that's some good horse flesh color. Yeah. Well, Happy New Year to you too, Donnie. Yeah, man. This is definitely the insomnia channel. I'm gonna have to might have to eventually get some like some lo-fi hip hop beats on here or something. Just got a little bit more of this horse to paint. the snoot. Horse. Always a fun part to paint. And it has little horse ears. So boom. There we go. That's a horse. We're getting even closer to like it not looking like it's totally unpainted. So usually about we got really like after the next step it's definitely going to look even less unpainted, and then the second step after that following will really push it over the edge, and then it's going to really be you know, hard to tell these apart from the totally finished ones, but there is still a couple of steps after that even. So, but we'll get there when we get there. So, this is the first step is this aggro stones to get that horse flesh looking horse fleshy, or the start of it, because there's gonna be more pigment added. So again, this doesn't have to be 100% perfect in how you're getting it, and in fact will not be probably because of the nature of contrast paint, especially on some of the smooth horse body here. You're gonna have some places where it's probably gonna pool a little unnaturally, but that's okay. Actually, it's gonna give us a little bit of horse look, in my opinion, like a little bit of like a natural coat look. Now, you know, I mean, if you wanted to, you could do some real Chad move stuff and, you know, take some green stuff and give these horses like fur. We can make them long coated. It would be pretty sick to do, but that's a lot of work, and I'm really lazy. And these horses are currently 60 points for 5 of them, so that makes my desire to do a lot of hardcore conversion work on them a little limited, and that's definitely something, you know, you should always consider, because it feels a lot easier to justify doing a lot of conversion work on, like, you know, a 200 point monster or a 150 point character or a 300-400 point knight than it does to do conversions on a 60 point unit of cavalry that is 5 models for 60 points, 10 models for 120 points. Feels silly to spend too much time on that. So we've got, okay, oh my gosh, all right, horse. Da-da-da. So you can see they're really starting to come together there. All right, so that's horse number 2. So the idea with how I'm doing this tonight is that I'm going to do this part, hopefully do a good chunk of what I'm going to be doing on those hazard stripes on the Hellhound, and then come back to these guys and be able to do at least one more step here. So this might be kind of a short one, but then I might come back for a second part after some of these things are done drying, because yeah, there just might have to be some wait time. That's kind of the unfortunate thing about the paint style that I like to use, where I like to use contrast paint and I like to use a lot of washes, is that there is a lot of points in here where you're doing dry time. So, but the reason for that is partially is that this method is optimized for volume of models rather than like high quality immediately. So I'm going to get a lot of models to a very mediocre quality very quickly with this method. And like I say, you can take always this as a base and push the models to, you know, higher level. You do more with them, you know, add weathering effects, add additional other effects, do, you know, fancier basing, you know, add just adding additional highlights and detail work. We'll just push, excuse me, we'll just push things over the edge from what I'm doing here. This is just basic work. This is literally just basic work. But good basic work will take you a long way. And like, you just really don't, you know, a lot of people, I'm gonna say it, this is where you should aim to be, because like, until you level up your skills enough to push things farther, just get your models to this level, and keep working on your skills progressively over time. Build up your army, your repertoire, before you start trying to perfect everything. I see too many people jump in and immediately want to go super hardcore with it. And then I see a lot of people jump in and do the exact opposite and go like 0% with it. So, alright, we got more horse action here. Beautiful, as we can see. So, yeah, so in the course of 11 minutes here, I've gotten 3 of these horses done. So, alright. Horse number 4, let's see, how is the drying process coming along? Horse number 1, not too bad. So my time estimates might work out okay. I might be able to get a little bit of stuff done here for us before I have to break and come back, because then once I get this part done, I'm gonna have to once I get these guys done, these models I think represent the last unpainted Master Militarum stuff I currently have fully assembled, so then I'll have to go and assemble stuff. So I'll probably put an assembly video up here too, if I get so motivated as to do that. If people are interested in watching that. Anyways, I'm gonna have to, I've got some Kriegers to assemble. I've got some Tempestus Aquilons, which I said, I think I was saving the painting of those Tempestus Aquilons till when I get some Scions, but I can go ahead and assemble them at least. I also have some more horses. I did get I got some of the Krieg horses as well. So, you know, I now have another 20 horses to assemble. Between the 10 more Rough Riders I have and the 10 more Death Riders I now have. So those are going to be fun. I'm looking forward to painting more, to spending more time painting 60-point units of horsemen. I'm going to do a cavalry army. I mean, actually, that is part of what's like. It's part of what's good about the Astra Militarum, Imperial Guard, whatever you want to call them. To me, they'll probably always, in some ways, be the Imperial Guard. So, all right, 4 horsemen, and it's been 14 minutes. All right, we love it. Again, part of what I like about my painting style is that it's quick. Like, you're not gonna see any of this stuff take a million billion years to do. It's all gonna be, like I said, you guys are gonna be excited when you see me do this ridiculous thing I'm gonna do, where I'm gonna paint an absolute metric ton of stuff over the course of like a weekend or something. It's gonna be really, it'll probably be in the middle of the week, because if it's a weekend, honestly, I'm probably actually playing. Whether it's on stream here or at an event, or I'm gonna be at an event streaming. So got lots of those coming up where we're gonna be taking the stream setup to events, and we're actually gonna be got a lot of really cool upgrades we're gonna be doing for some of that stuff too. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Pretty stoked about that indeed. So, cool. 5 horses, 16 minutes to get that. Just that one part of that time. Alright. So now, I'm going to show you the secret of the hazard stripe. So my first secret of the hazard stripe here is this Steel Legion drab base color. It's great. Okay, so it is like a terrible khaki. So what we're going to do with this, I don't have to use this for this. I can use a utility brush for this part as long as I am careful. So we're just going to take, we're just going to get good foundation there of Steel Legion drab. Okay, so I can see through that currently. So I'm going to do it on this part too. Any overpaints we're going to fix later. So now I've got 2 big, beautiful brown canvases to work with. So, as Justin would say, chestnut canvases to work with. So we're going to take a second here because that is still wet. And these horses are all also very still wet, which is kind of disappointing that took me so little time. Alright, so I need a hairdryer. Problem is I don't have any hair, so it's illegal for me to own a hairdryer without hair, as we all know. So just going to be kind of a problem for me. Let's see. Alright, these guys are still very wet, which I hate because it means I can't do anything with them quite yet. He is getting to be a little dry, all I see on the bottom of the belly a little wetness. This one is dry except in the folds. And he's mostly dry, so give me another 10 minutes or so maybe, and they'll be ready to go. So that's fine. We just take our time here, be patient. This is getting ready, so I see some places I can correct on this. So this is a great time to go through and work on recorrecting some of these parts of the tank treads that kind of did very well. Alright, so just gonna kind of go in there. Good. Some good parts, fill that in. This is what I say when I say you can just literally you can go back and fix anything at any time. You don't like how it turned out? Just go back and fix it. is just keep working on something. Or worst case scenario, you can, just dump it in some isopropyl alcohol for a couple hours and then take a toothbrush to it too and start all over again. I mean, really. You can never truly mess up painting a model so bad you can't fix it for the most part. Alright, so that Steel Legion is now dry. So this is what we take our time and do other stuff for. So now we're gonna do a second layer of this to get some really good coverage. Since I'm doing these a little brighter, I don't usually do this second layer of Steel Legion drab on under my yellows, but yeah, whatever. That's what I do now, I guess, on these ones. And I used to do this a lot more complicatedly than this. I used to take it this step. I used to draw the lines in the brown, and I would go over it, in the yellow, just the actual hazard stripe lines, and then I would go and do the black in between. What I actually found over time is that the best strategy for me as a lazy painter is to paint the entire panel brown, and then paint the entire panel yellow, and then do the stripes black. That just works and is infinitely easier than doing what I was doing. So learn from my wisdom, I suppose. Alright, and then we've got, so this is what this is my yellow that I'm going to use, this Averland Sunset, also a base paint. You're going to see I'm not using like a lot of layer, I'm using base paints, I'm using washes, I'm using contrasts. That's mainly what I use. I use very few like layer paints. Those are great for highlights, but I just don't honestly do a lot of highlights. That's, I consider above and beyond getting it to tabletop, doing the highlights. I'm just not worried about it. All right, so these guys are still a little damp, so we're just gonna keep waiting on them. He's a little damp still, so we'll just keep waiting on that for a minute. Do we have anything else to like touch up or work on over in here for the moment that I want to work on? No. I guess there is. I'll pull. Old Bellicor over here. And we'll do a little bit of stuff on Old Bellicor while we're waiting on some of this other stuff. Again, this is why you should just always have stuff just laying around. If you always have stuff laying around, you always have stuff to work on. So, eventually, over the course of like 10 years, I'll get a whole Demon Army painted. I mean, I technically already have probably enough of one painted to play. It's just literally none of the pieces I would actually want. So, it makes it fun. So we're just gonna paint these chains and stuff on him for a minute with some black Templar contrast to get kind of an interesting base on them, and we'll go back over those and highlight those later. And cool. Got a little black smudge there. I'll just add his character later. This just ties into my other philosophies of if you just own a lot of things and have a lot of things that you've painted, you always have something you want to play. Because eventually I'll have all this demon stuff painted and I'll be able to play it and it'll be fun. I mean, because right now I've got this Bloodthirster sitting there that I have to repair. I've got a Schlaxy/Keeper of Secrets stand-in that I have painted that she's like ready to go. I've got a Greater Unclean One and Rodigus ready to go, like painted and good. So like if I have this Be'lakor, if I fix that Bloodthirster, and like say I get my Scarbrand done, that's like just a demon monster mash army that I can just take for funsies to play at, like, I don't know, trash RTTs against newer players and stuff, so that I'm not bringing something ridiculously cruel for no good reason. Although maybe I'll just be mean and just bring something ridiculously cruel for no good reason. You can't stop me. I mean, the greater demons are just cool to own and paint. I just always wanted to own and paint a bunch of them anyways. Never really did or could until recently, so. I don't know why, like there was always just other stuff. Always just other armies to play, other armies to paint. So. They always kind of got by the wayside. So. Eventually they'll have their day in the sun. I really want to paint these guard, get them. I mean, I've got them to a point where I almost have a good like 2,500 to 3,000 points painted, which would be great. That'd be a great spot to be at, because then I can start honing in on exactly how I want to play, and if I need to paint a bunch more stuff, or if I can kind of slow down and take my time for a minute about what I'm going to do with the rest of that army, because I do want. I mean, that is going to be. I'm going to go big into it, but when you go big into an army, you have to work and strategize a little bit about how you're going to do it. So, that'll be the... I think I have a good base right now with everything I have. And with the next couple things I'll add, which will be those Kriegers and some more horses and stuff, I'll be in a great spot. Some more Bulgren too, I have some more of them that need to get built and painted. And but once I have all that stuff kind of done for a minute, that'll be probably enough options for a little bit, and I can kind of decide. I would like to go ahead and get these Eldari that I have painted. I'm going to do this really cool color scheme on them that I'm really excited about. I really just can't wait to do it. I've just been really procrastinating on doing it, but I just need to pull the trigger. So, because they will be, honestly, they'll be quick once I get the first initial steps done. And they'll be so pretty. do an Eldari army in the way that I'm going to do that for over 20 years now. That's the first time I saw one. I'm going to do color shift paint. And the time I saw it, you had to use automotive color shifting paint because that was the only place you could get a product like that. And now we have so many other options. So now I'm gonna use some really cool color shift stuff and make a sick looking Eldari army. They're gonna look great. Since he's coming along, starting to be looking like something, he's going to come along very slowly. Because he's already been coming along very slowly. And he's not a main project, so I'll just kind of sit in the background and be the, like, I'm working on him while I'm waiting on things to dry kind of guy for right now. Like I say, next big step after I get these horses and this Hellhound painted is going to be a building phase. So tonight, Bellacore, you are benefiting from pure opportunism. I've been working on and off on this Bellacore for like 4 months now. When I'm not committed to getting something cranked out, it does not get done. When I'm committed to getting something cranked out, it's done almost immediately. But thus is the way of the world. So yeah, with a little more work, I could technically just have this Bellacore to be totally, quote-unquote, battle-ready. But I kind of want him to, he's going to be, like, the theme here is going to be, I mean, you know, he's shadows, so, like, we're doing, like, blues and blacks and grays. So that's what is up. Alright, that's enough about Bellacore. Let's take a look at what my other models are up to. Alright, you are the slowest along. You're almost dry. Cool. So that means 'tis time to slap our Averland Sunset onto these panels, because I'm sure, yep, they're dry as they need to be. So with this, we are going to go for a more precision brush. Although this is my, like, precision utility, so it's still not a brush in great condition. But that, again, does not matter in the slightest. So the purpose of what I'm doing here is because this yellow is just so much brighter, and you're gonna see it a lot more vividly if I make a lot of mistakes. I want to make a lot fewer mistakes along the edges where you will see. So we're just going to go ahead and I'm just kind of rimming the edges right now is what I'm doing with this. And then I'll come back with a broader brush and fill in so you can see there. That's what it looks like when I do that. I've drawn a yellow box. Cool. Let's draw a second one. This one's a little different because I've got these little meat hooks or whatever back here, so it's not going to be just a box. I'm kind of doing a little more because I would have to anyways. And so there we go. There's the finished product for now. All right, so we can switch brushes now to a broader brush. All right, so now we'll take our broader brush and get the rest of this panels covered with some yellow. So this layer of yellow is going to look terrible. It's going to take 2 to 3 layers of yellow to get a good solid yellow. You can see it looks like I don't know, baby shit or something right now. It looks fucking awful. So but the trick to getting this to look right is to do these layers. They do not have to be perfect. They really don't. In fact, the more imperfect they are, at the end of the day, the better. It's gonna be fine. So anyways, we got that going on. So that's got to dry for a minute. Now again. All right. So now we can commence the horses. So, all right. Next up on the horses, and this is probably why we're going to end up with, this is why we might end up with 2 videos tonight. Where is it? There we go. Every speed painter's other favorite shade, our beautiful Acrax Earth shade. So, got that. So what we're going to do with this is a lot. Just gonna take this and I'm gonna literally go over the entirety of the horse and all of the leather straps. This is gonna give me an interest over the it's gonna tone down that horse color, make that horse color a little deeper and darker, and it's going to make those leather straps, it's going to give these leather straps a really cool, interesting leathery leather color that's kind of like a soft tanned leather. Contrasts nicely with the horse in my opinion. And we're also going to do it over the whatever this fabric is that I'm going to color red at some point here in the near future as well. We're going to do it over that as well. And why are we doing it over the fabric, you might ask? Well, it's because we are appreciating that fabric. We are doing the alternative way that you can kind of do some of the slap chop type techniques. This is the thing. If you want to do grim dark slap chop, instead of starting your models and painting them And so now you can see this model is literally, I could put this on the table and not feel bad about it being on the table after this. Like, it's not perfect, but it's playable. All right, and I'm gonna make sure I scrape some of the excess pooling out of some of those flaps on the fabric. Although if it ends up excess pooled, we have so many steps left to correct this that it's not even funny. So, but again, if you want to do grim dark slap chop, if you want your slap chop to come out grim dark instead of the sometimes slap chop can come out pretty bright. Instead of highlighting it and coming back and painting over it, take a light color. Take this gray, this gray sear that I'm using straight out of the bottle. Shade over it with something like Nuln Oil or something like this Agrax Earth shade over top of it, and then put your contrast paint over top of it. Now, it's not going to work with every color, but for like this red, for instance, this Blood Angels red that I use, if you shade over top of it as well, it's going to create, which I'm going to do, it's going to create this really rich dark red. It's really great looking. Really, really good looking. So, I'm a big fan of what look we get. And so, you can really do a lot of really interesting things with some of these paints that are like I've seen a lot of people sneer at this contrast paint as, oh, it's for beginners who don't know how to paint, but you can get some really cool effects by just using contrasts and shade paints, and you don't have to be a good precise painter necessarily to pull these tricks off, and it's going to give you these really good looking models, in my opinion. So there we go. That's already kind of giving a vibe, and they're just going to get better as I put more color on there. They're just going to continue to get better. So we got a little bit more to go with these guys before they're all done. For sure. But this is going to be one of the longer steps in the process, just because of the fact that you have this dry time that's going to be associated with doing this. Because I am using a pretty thick coating of wash on these guys, so this is going to be like a couple hours of dry time after I get done doing this. So we're really going to only get through this and maybe another step on the Hellhound before I'm going to take a little recess on painting and go and do something else for a little while, and then I'll come back once they've dried. I think that'll be okay. So we'll have, this will end up being about an hour in length, and that's okay. And then, like I said, I'll come back and we'll do some finishing touches on some of these things, and I'll show you guys the total finishing process. Because once we get to, once I get past this, I do have one more big long dry stage with these guys, but I can start that process and finish off their basing. I kind of want to wait to finish their basing until after they've substantially dried from the last wash phase. So, we'll probably do get to that last wash phase with them in the next segment, and that segment might be a little shorter because I'll probably just be doing really the washing on these guys, or the finishing touches on these guys, which is a couple different touches, and then the last little bit of the hazard stripes on the Hellhound. So it's going to be pretty short, which I hate. It's going to be a little shorter, but that's okay. We'll just get those done, and then we'll move on to the next kind of video I do will be a assembly video. But I kind of do want to, if I'm going to do something like that with you guys, I got to find out how to do like some lo-fi beats or something to go on during that, because otherwise I'm just going to be talking for like 2 or 3 hours just babbling. I don't know if you guys are that into that. I don't know if I'm that into that. I don't want to lose my voice necessarily. but we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. We'll see if I get any comments on any preferences on that. And if not, I'm just going to do whatever I want. So we'll just go from there. But yeah, we got. Okay. Oh. I just bumped my head right into that camera, I believe. Alright, so whoop. Okay. So we got 4 out of 5 horses to this level. Yeah, wow, it's only taken me to do all this has only been like 45 minutes so far. Yeah, so I mean, really, at the end of the day, part of this is to show people you don't have to do this huge time commitment to painting. It's never, it doesn't have to be this big time sink always. Like, I can make it a time sink. I can do these big 12-hour marathon painting sessions that I'm going to show off and do and flex and do like an idiot. But you don't have to do it that way. Like, this is very achievable. And like, you know, one of these horses to do one of these steps, you know, I mean, 5 of these horses to do one of these steps is maybe like, you know, depending on which step, maybe as much as like 20 minutes to do like one step, you know. So, you know, one step, 20 minutes. I mean, you know, I am lucky in that I'm in a position where I can just leave all my stuff out. I know that people aren't always in that position where they can, you know, just leave their stuff out and it's not going to be bothered. Even though I have a cat, he is, I am lucky to say, a cat who doesn't care about my models and is uninterested in messing with them. And that's good, because if we had a problem with that, yeah, it'd be a difficult issue for me and that cat to resolve together. Alright, so now I've got 5th horse like that. Look at that, beautiful. Alright, so that's got to dry. It's going to take probably 2 hours to dry, I would say, if not more. It might take a little bit more than that. Might take a little bit less than that. It's hard to say. So, all right. So now, gonna do our next layer of yellow. Because these are big flat panels, probably want to do a 3rd layer. Yeah, this is just not, still looking a little streaky, a little splotchy. And it's gonna look that way no matter what I do, honestly, because I'm not doing a great job, because I'm gonna do hazard stripes over this and I'm gonna do battle damage on it. So it's not gonna be perfect no matter what I do, but we'll do another layer of yellow to make it a little more perfect here in a minute. But you can see this is our current state. It's pretty yellow, you know. So that's that. Alright, these horses are extremely wet. Can't do anything with them right now, so that means, alright, Bellicor, you're suffering from success here, buddy. I get to do a little bit more work on you while I wait for this yellow to dry so I can put another layer. And then we'll see how much further we can get with things for a minute. I love this model. I always wanted to play this guy, and I've never done it. So, but I didn't own him until recently, so can't play him if you don't own him. I mean, for me, I generally don't generally don't play things unless I've painted them. So occasionally I'll break that rule to play test something, but I don't like doing it. Oh my goodness, least. So, alright. Bellicor. You're actually starting to look pretty slick, bro. Got this like black and blue, like a bruise kind of vibe going on right now. So I'm gonna do some fun things with this one. I like to do a little bit of fun stuff with the demons, make them a little brighter and stuff, so we'll really work on doing a little bit of that with him, although like I say, I want him to be a little dark because he is, you know, shadowy and stuff. Alright, yeah, so now really you can see what I got going on with that Bellicor. He's bruise colored for real. Alright, so now yeah, he's got some ground we gotta do here for him, and yeah, that'll be pretty cool. We'll do some ground for him eventually, but I think probably that yellow is dry enough I can put another layer after doing that, and what do you know, it certainly is. Let's go ahead and slap on another layer of that yellow. Okay. Yeah, here we go. This is where it really starts, in my opinion. This third layer, like if you want a good, bright, clean yellow or something, and you're not doing like a speed paint slap chop yellow with the pink. This is the way to go. If you want this like orangey, brownish yellow that I'm getting, this is where it starts to take shape, guys. That's where it starts to take shape. So there we go. Look at that beautiful yellow. All right, so now we gotta wait for that to dry for a minute. So while we're waiting for that to dry, we're gonna keep working on old Bellicor here. So, let's see. We are doing basically the same stuff for him. So where did that brown get to? There we go. So we got our Rhinox hide here. So we're gonna take know before somebody asks. I don't sub-assemble. Alright, let's see. Brown around the foot. Okay. Brown around the other foot. Alright, so let's see if that was enough. It's still wet looking, so I'm going to go ahead and progress on to another step on Bellicore here for a minute. So, alright, we got that brown on down, so let's see. We got plenty enough of this for this to work. Alright, so this is another magic color here, in my opinion. Wildwood contrast. So this is really dark brown. I really like it for doing exactly what I'm about to do with it, which is I'm about to slather Bellicore's base in this shit. Because this is going to do great things for what's going on this base, and it's going to vaguely match the colors of that other brown, but not quite. It's a little darker, but once you've got this Rhinox hide surrounded by that, it actually blends in beautifully. So the first thing I'm going to do is very carefully do the areas surrounding him first. The areas where I'm most likely to mess something up. There's so many skulls and things to pick out on this guy's base, and I'd definitely be having to come back and do a lot of cleanup work on this later, but that's okay. That is part and parcel of having like a 300-400 point model. You expect that you're gonna have some stuff like that going on, and that's okay. Like a lot of this stuff is gonna be really easy to pick out actually, once ever I get this part done. And if it's not, then there's also always the possibility that some of it might just get covered up with mud or snow. Things like that can indeed happen. So, but we're almost done with this, to the extent that we'll be able to work on this any more tonight. This is basically going to be a death knell to that. So, because this is definitely going to take several hours for all of this to dry, and that's okay. So, just taking. All right. There we have the beginnings of a Bellicor. So once that all that stuff dries, I can go back and do some more work on him. So, but that's basically, like I said, that's basically it for him tonight. He's gonna have to really spend some time drying. And then now we are to the point though where I can go ahead and do the next step on this Hellhound, and that's probably going to be about the last thing I'll be able to do for a little bit here on any of these models. I will be able to come back and probably finish a lot more on these horses and on this Hellhound later. So next, so this I'm just taking some Seraphim Sepia, and this is just giving us some definition around these nuts and bolts on these armor plates, and it's just giving us just a little bit of tint. Too. So you can see, so it's really subtle. You know, you can see just a little difference there, a little difference. And this I'm doing pretty lightly. I'm using a small brush, so I'm getting a small amount of wash here. Just spreading it really evenly. I'm just kind of manipulating it till I get the exact look I'm going for. And then I'm just going to leave it to sit. And I'm actually going to, for this time to sit, I'm going to leave it propped up like that so that those don't really streak down and pool. So they'll kind of just stay where they are, because I kind of have a modeled look that I want. All right, so that's that. These guys, oh yeah, all right, let's go back and collect a little bit of this pooling wash off of these guys. A lot of this is going to just be corrected later, so just doing some kind of baker fixes where I see big pools. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. So those guys are as good as they're going to be for right now. I got to wait for them to dry a little bit more before we can commence the next step for them. Gotta wait a little bit of time before I can commence the next step with the Hellhound. Bonus Bellicor. I didn't think I was going to be painting him. He just got lucky because he was within reach. So I think that's going to be a little bit of what I got for right now. So, like I say, I probably got about probably have another hour or so before these horses are ready to be painted on again. So I may come back and work on those tonight. I may not. We will just have to see. But once I get done with those and with painting this Hellhound, then the next step, like I say, is going to be doing a little bit of assembly. So you're going to get to see how I assemble my army as well as everything else. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off right now, guys. So if you were watching or if you watch later and you enjoyed this, just go ahead and like and subscribe, please.